This is the Net Zero professional cycling team. Bike racing is completely a team sport. While races appear to be made up of a group of riders all traveling along until the fastest man wins, nothing could be further from the truth. And it is the only sport where a team must compete against as many as 20 other teams at one time. For these athletes, this team is their shot. In the United States, thousands of racers vie for only a few spots on even fewer teams. And those spots, once given, are rarely relinquished. 1 year, 8 riders, 100 races, and a roller coaster of emotions. Of the 8 riders, 6 are rookies to the pro ranks, and 2 are proven veterans. One of these 2 veterans is Jamie Paolinetti. Jamie is the team's captain. 10 years as a full-time pro bike racer and past membership on one of the best teams the United States ever produced has given Jamie the experience to lead this team. His experience told him that every successful team needs seasoned pros. So Jamie's first task was adding Graeme to the roster to help with the burden of leadership. Graeme has been racing for his entire adult life. Born and raised in New Zealand, a 3-time Olympian, Graeme is arguably one of the greatest racers that country has ever produced. But to make a living as a pro, he has spent the last 12 years doing a majority of his racing in America. The respect gained from these years, combined with a wealth of international experience, makes Graeme a threat to win virtually any race the team will enter this season. Jamie and Graeme have raced against each other for years. This season marks their first year together on the same team. Combined, they have well over 250 career victories. But they must lead off the road as well. The remaining 6 riders are first-year pros, rookies. They have sacrificed and struggled as amateurs for years to get this shot. The reality is, the year ahead promises to be no easy ride, but these riders earned this chance, and they're not likely to let it go by without a fight. Hilton Clark is an Aussie, but Australia has no system in place to support a professional cyclist, so he's left his home and family to pursue his dream of life as a pro. At 22, he has already shown the potential necessary to compete at a world-class level, a rare trick in a sport typically dominated by much older men. Hilton possesses one of the rarest of all talents for a cyclist: speed. Matt Yates is a fellow countryman of Graeme's. He's spent 2 brutal years and thousands of miles racing over the cobblestone roads of Belgium to prepare himself for life as a pro. But the first season is always the toughest. Mike Tillman is the national champion on the track. This is the best team Mike has ever been on. The year will put new demands on his talents. Ryan Barrett has been racing his bike since he was 12 years old. Now at 23 and a recent college graduate, he is putting any desire for a real job aside to chase this somewhat impossible dream. He is also a young newlywed. Life as a pro cyclist is brutal on relationships. This is most likely the best shot Jason Bausch will ever get at life as a pro. Jason was a professional surfer at 15. Done with that laid-back life by the ripe old age of 20, he quickly fell in love with the camaraderie and team effort that go hand in hand with being successful at this most unique sport. Finally, there's Michael Johnson. Blessed with uncanny natural strength, he came to cycling from bodybuilding, but has been forced to shed some 60 pounds of muscle. This year will be the first time he will race against world-class talent. Like Ryan, Michael is also married. Life with a pro cyclist is something his wife didn't sign up for. For the Net Zero team, earning respect in the pro peloton in America will not be an easy task. At the top, the sport is dominated by only a few very strong teams. Saturn, Mercury, Navigators, Prime Alliance, 7-Up, and of course, the U.S. Postal Service, arguably the best team in the world. Graeme, Hilton, and Matt All arrive in the U.S., and the Net Zero team is complete. But there isn't going to be much time for everyone to gel. In the month ahead, the guys will race against the top teams in the country each and every week. In America, the largest races are known as national calendar events. They hold the most prestige, prize money, and exposure. But every team in the country wants a national calendar win. Jamie and Graeme are well aware that building a successful pro team in America comes with a host of challenges.
We're constantly trying to develop this group of guys that works well, lives well, gets along together, and has the skills that complement each other. When I first started trying to put the team together and started thinking who I wanted to fill the spots for the money we had, the list was like 5 guys, and that's really small.
I think the biggest landmine the young guys have got to look out for is themselves. They tend to put so much pressure on themselves to do well, rather than sitting back and listening. To be a top professional, it's something that's not going to happen in 2 or 3 months or 6 months or even a year. It's something that you've really got to groom someone for. So what happens is, like when you're young, you want everything yesterday. You don't want it, in 2 or 3 months' time. You want it yesterday. So you're always like trying way too hard. Unfortunately, you've got to live, talk, think, eat, drink, cycling 24 hours a day. And if you haven't got that, then you're not going to be up with the top guys.
When it works, to see these guys, their eyes get really wide and just execute a series of tactics that win us a race, and it's the first time they've ever seen something like that. I mean, that's exciting for me, is to see those guys have that realization and say, hey, we made this race, we decided what happened, there were no surprises, everything that happened for exactly the reasons that we wanted it to happen. And that's a hard thing to learn, but exciting when they get it.
Being a first-year pro in America doesn't mean Michael or any of the other rookies will be on easy street. While the team does pay for all the riders' travel expenses, the average first-year salary is about $10,000. Not exactly a livable wage in LA. So Michael will work long hours at another job for the first few months of the year. That means training indoors on weekdays.
But this is what I do Monday through Friday after I work in a 12-hour day, because I don't make enough racing my bike, so I got to do 2 jobs at once. And usually I really look forward for the time change. So, there's a little more light. And this year, since I turned pro, I opted to try to ride my bike to work and then ride it home. I had to leave work at like 4:30 in the morning. It would take me like an hour and a half to get to Hollywood. It's like 25 miles. I just kind of cruise, bring a backpack, shower, and then work 12 hours. Then change clothes, hopefully my clothes dry by then, and then I would ride home. And do it all again the next day.
March is filled with national calendar races throughout California, which means the guys will be getting real familiar with the team van. The month begins in a small town called Merced, with a cruel little welcome from Mother Nature. The morning of a 100-mile road race brings temperatures in the 50s, 30-mile-per-hour winds, and rain. As the guys get ready to ride to the start of the race, the weather adds additional concerns.
Well, it just makes your handling skills. I mean, people who can ride in the rain do much better.
Yeah, you'll lose a lot of people just because...
Yeah, in the back you'll shell tons of people because of the crashes right away, so it becomes slippery. And so you ride the front, and those guys that survive the front are going to end up doing well no matter what.
4 hours of racing, and the outcome is a sign of things to come. Mercury wins. Saturn is second. Then, to add insult to injury, Mercury and Saturn take the rest of the top spots, 3rd through 9th. Jamie is 10th, and Graeme is 12th. Only about 40 of the original 100 riders finish the race, and none of the remaining Net Zero riders are among them. The next day, the weather clears for a criterium. Mercury 1st and 2nd, Saturn 3rd, but Graeme and Hilton both cracked the top 10, 6th and 9th. Not bad, but there's a price. Jason Bausch is in a crash that breaks his scapula. He'll be out for 3 to 4 weeks. Monday, it's back to LA, but Friday comes quick with yet another 5-hour drive to another national calendar race, and the season is in full swing. Saturday's event is 100 miles. Saturn is first, second, and third. Graeme makes the front group and is fourth, a great result. Sunday's criterium, and Mercury has its revenge. Gord Fraser is first, his teammate second. Saturn is third. Once again, Graeme is in the top 10 with a 6th. Home for 2 days, then it's off to the Redlands stage race. 5 days, 5 races, 400 miles, and 1 overall winner. That winner is Saturn's Trent Klasner. The best the Net Zero boys can manage is a 4th by Graeme in one of the stages and a 10th by Hilton. 3 days later, it's a 6-hour drive to Arizona. The team is choosing to miss a national calendar race in Monterey, where most of the top pro riders will be. But the guys need a morale boost, and they get it in Arizona. Taking advantage of the weaker field, Graeme wins the 100-mile road race, and Jamie wins the criterium. Great victories for the team, but they're not on the national calendar. Back up north in Monterey, once again it's Saturn's Trent Klasner that comes away with the victory. The Navigators team also has a good showing and wins the criterium. For Net Zero, Monday means a trip home from Arizona, but just a few days later, they're in the van again, off to the Solano Classic. 5 more days of racing, and the results are predictable. Mercury is first overall. Saturn is second. But Prime Alliance's Jonas Carney puts another crack in the 2 powerhouses' dominance and wins the criterium, notching that team's first big victory of the year. For Net Zero, Graeme battles away with a 4th that same day. 29 days in March held 15 days of racing and 9 days of traveling. With still 6 months to go in the season, one thing has become evident. If the Net Zero boys hope to win any big race this season, they'll have their work cut out for them. By pro standards, the team is a small one and the budget for the year is limited. So for the first few weeks in April, the team is back to racing locally. Today's race is a challenging criterium with 50 laps on a hilly course. But the guys are fit from their month-long beatings by the big boys at the national calendar events. And they're the only pro team here today. The pre-race team meeting is an almost religious ritual for the riders. A team plan is set and expectations are laid down. Of course, in this sport, things can change in a heartbeat.
Biggest selection criterium that we'll do locally. I mean, even if we were just all to ride around in circles and not attack once, there'd only be 20 guys left. I mean, that's how hard it gets. So, with that in mind, I want to even make it harder. Like, I want this race to be really, really hard. I would like to just see 7 or 8 guys in the group at the end and have it be 5 of us. And that's what I want. So, race with that in mind throughout the day.
Since every race is unique, the riders have a lot to go over. The course, quality of the field, history of the event, the distance, even the weather are all things that need to be discussed.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of money up, so
$2,500.
2,500.
The top 3 places are going to have the most money, so we want top 3
we want the
places.
top 3. I'd love to
I'm
get
broke.
top 3 overall. Again, watch a good guys.
Among the rookies, there were varying levels of success in the first full month as professionals. As the season moves forward, each rider will find his place in the hierarchy of the team. Almost immediately, Michael is one of the first to push the early pace.
I like to attack a lot if I have good legs, and I'll keep doing that. Hopefully a break will get established, and then I can work for either Hilton or Jamie.
After only a few minutes, Hilton is on the attack. There's still 45 laps, 45 trips up the hill, and 45 miles to go. But Hilton's not waiting around. A lap later, and Hilton's vicious pace has whittled his break down to just 1 hanger-on. Hilton showed genuine promise in the month of March. Although young for a pro cyclist, he's been prepared well.
Well, my dad was an Olympic cyclist, so naturally that got me straight into the sport, and I've got an older and a younger brother who are both cyclists as well, so I've sort of been thrown into the sport just straight away as when I was young, and I've loved it ever since. My mum just is really supportive about cycling. She doesn't, she's not too involved in it, but she's really happy we're doing it, because otherwise I'd probably be on the street. Everything about cycling in America is just aggressive. everyone just goes into corners all together. They don't care. They bump, they hit, they do anything, and it's crazy basically. But being a sprinter over here, and it is so dangerous over here, a lot dangerous than what I ever have been sprinting in Australia. Guys don't know me, and they don't want to let me in because they think maybe if they let me in, I'm going to lose a wheel and they'll lose a spot because they'll let me in. So you've got to grow respect. You've got to get in there, and probably when your riders don't know you, you end up getting a bad reputation because you're the one always bashing and crashing them out of the way. Well, us riders suffer a lot, and I don't know why I like it, but I think that's what makes us cyclists different humans. We just love going through the pain and pushing our bodies where they shouldn't be pushed, and I don't know, I think we're just a bit sick in that matter.
Hilton has built a tenuous 12-second lead. Sensing the group's hesitation, Matt sees an opportunity to jump across the gap and join him. Now, with 2 out of 3 in the break, Matt and Hilton will pour on the gas and try to open up their lead. Just behind, the speed and all the attacks have sprung a chase group, but Ryan and Jason Bausch have covered the move and will make the other riders do the work. With this second group about to join Hilton and Matt, the Net Zero boys will have 4 out of 7 in the break, and this race is virtually over as all 4 will now drive the pace to the finish. This is a great chance for the 4 rookies to see if they can deliver a win. For Jason, this is a strong showing, only a little over 5 weeks after his crash and broken scapula. Ryan Barrett has also made the move.
You know, I'd like to pull off a good finish, but more importantly, like I said before, is just to do whatever needs to be done for the team to make sure that we as a team win.
For Ryan, March proved to be an eye-opening experience. Like Michael Johnson, Ryan works part-time to help support his new profession as a full-time bike racer. Ryan runs a city-funded program that helps get underprivileged kids off the streets and on their bikes.
I try and think of bike racing as like my primary job, and then this is kind of like my other job. But it works out really well because I can have a really good time with the kids, and I enjoy that part of it, but then also I spend a lot of time in here in the office. And the real goal is to get to where you can just race full time and not have to work in addition to it, so you can put all your energy into racing and recovering from racing.
Being a newlywed historically comes with challenges. Add to that this bizarre career choice, and both he and his wife Kelly know they'll have to stick it out together. Kelly works full-time at a local elementary school.
I really enjoy helping kids, and I like the rewards that you get at the end, just when you realize that you've helped this child do something in math that they didn't know otherwise, before, and I help them do it, and they come to you, and it's just
Kelly's just awesome. I'd probably have to give her an 11. I think the support that she gives me is worth more than like any small shortcomings, like things that I have to give up.
When he did turn pro, he was so thrilled about it, and it's this ladder, and he's going up it, and he's just getting better every year. I am extremely proud of him. He's worked so hard, and he's come so far, and he always had this dream of being a professional cyclist, and here he is, finally, professional.
So it's a lot of people who, are willing to be decent, category 2 riders and do the local races, and, they'll work hard, but they're not willing to give up everything for it, which is pretty much what it takes.
We have been thinking about children and our future, and we definitely want a family, and probably me sooner than he wants to, but we can have kids, we can wait a while to have kids. Doesn't matter when that happens. How long will I be willing to wait? I don't know. That's a hard question. Not very long. Now? No, that's not gonna be on the tape, is it? I'm ready anytime.
Ryan has attacked the winning breakaway and is putting in a solo bid for the win. The other teams chase, while Hilton, Matt, and JB get a free ride. The difficulty of the race and the strength of the brake has resulted in Ryan catching the back group of the remaining riders and will win if none of the other riders in the break catch on. Unfortunately for Ryan, the rest of the leaders also lapped the field. Since both Hilton and Matt are faster finishers, Ryan will now have the job of making sure they get a clean shot at the finish. The sprint is a 40-mile-per-hour dash up the finishing straight. Hilton comes up with the goods. Matt and JB are just behind, second and third.
Good work. Tillman just drove it down there, then I jumped under them and
You guys cut the field?
Pardon?
You cut the field?
Yeah, we caught the field. Well, we seen Ryan off and like Ryan was gone, but then...
So we come in like on our own, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good. Man,
But this guy like almost crashed me on that corner.
Really?
But
You weren't going to jump, decided to jump for you.
tell me to slow down.
Gotcha.
Winning bike races is always difficult. It's something most riders never learn to do. With the two biggest criteriums of the year only a week away, today's win will give the team some great momentum. The team will be flying to the East Coast for the two National Calendar Classics, but the trip is an expensive one, and the budget only allows for 5 riders to go. The management of the team tells Jamie how much they can afford, and he is left with the task of selecting who will be going on the trip. In the end, Hilton, Michael, Jamie, and Matt will all join Graeme to represent the team. For now, JB, Ryan, and Tillman will compete locally and only hope that they make the selection for the next big race. The first race of the weekend is in Shelby, North Carolina. Shelby is a relatively small southern town, and this race is one of its biggest events of the year. For the riders, it is one of the most sought-after victories of the season. With over $4,000 going to the winner, this National Calendar Classic offers the highest payday of the criterium. Every big team is here, and for the Net Zero boys, it's another chance to try and establish themselves with the best in the country. They have yet to put a rider in the top 3 at any race of this level. When pro bike racing comes to smaller towns across America, the locals support the events 100%. But if the town of Shelby is the definition of Southern hospitality, the race is exactly the opposite. In a criterium of this nature, the attacks come one after another. Speeds will hover at 30 miles per hour. If a rider wants to get away, he'll have to be able to go faster than that. As the attacks come and go, the Net Zero boys attempt to cover each one. High-profile criteriums like this are so dynamic and constantly changing that the 50-mile event seems to fly by. The momentum will swing from one big team to another, and those that are put at a disadvantage will work hard to rectify the damage. But even the best teams can run out of gas or get caught in a bad situation. And of course, in the end, only one rider can win. It's Jamie that puts the cap on a great performance by the guys in the sweetest of all ways. A solo win in a National Calendar Classic. The team is on the map. You got a problem, you don't know it. There's only a short time to reminisce about the team's first National Calendar win, because an even larger task looms in waiting the next night.
We caught them all going into the last turn.
This is the Twilight Criterium in Athens, Georgia. The race takes place only 1 block from the campus of the University of Georgia. It's been on this same course for almost 20 years. This trendy little college town comes out in full party force for the race, and everything about the event is completely out of control. More than 10,000 spectators line the 1-kilometer circuit. The noise they make bounces off the buildings and is deafening. It doesn't begin until 11 o'clock at night. The course is not well lit, and there are too many riders allowed to start. Crashes will be everywhere. The corners are so tight they have to be taken single file. It's almost impossible to move up in line. And it is historically the fastest criterium in the country. If America has a Super Bowl of criteriums, this is it. The top riders from each team earn the chance to be introduced before the race.
Jamie Paolinetti, Net Zero, top 3 finisher, twice here.
A front row start is almost crucial to doing well here. Jamie and Graeme get called to the line, but for Michael, Hilton, and Matt, They'll have to do battle with the remaining 200 riders not in the front row. The adrenaline rush that accompanies the start of this race is unmatched in the sport. After a whole day of anticipation, the moment is finally here, and the insanity begins. Shut up. Only a few laps in, and Jamie covers a move by Saturn's Trent Klasner near the front. But further back, the field is completely strung out. At nearly 35 miles per hour, it only takes 1 minute for the leaders to do a whole lap. And the tail end of this line is already 30 seconds behind the front. At the head of the race, the best criterium riders from the top teams battle, trying to establish breakaways. But in the middle and near the back, gaps are opening, and riders are being pulled from the course. It's not long, and a well-represented break is established. Saturn, Mercury, 7-Up, and the Navigators all have riders here. For Net Zero, Graeme and Michael Johnson both make the split. What's left of the field will try to chase, but with most of the top teams happy, it will be a fruitless effort. About 15 minutes later, and the group of 8 have lapped what's left of this field. Jamie, Hilton, and Matt are all in the now dwindling pack. For the next 25 laps, the Net Zero boys will try to keep Graeme out of trouble and set him up for the finish. With the momentum gained from yesterday's win at Shelby, Jamie, Hilton, Matt, and Michael control the end of the race with a newly found confidence and drive the pace, giving Graeme an almost perfect lead-out. But the final sprint will be left in his hands.
Net Zero! Net Zero! Net Zero! Net Zero! Net Zero! They set him up, and Graeme Miller knocked him down. All right, Graeme Miller's been up here a bunch of times. He knows the way. Graeme, is this the sweetest one this year? Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, Graeme Miller, 42 years also.
That was awesome. I can't say enough of my Net Zero team once we left the field. They were awesome tonight. I've been in the top 3 here 7 times and never won the race. And this is awesome!
All righty, this Kiwi's got the rest of the pack green with envy.
Although Michael was also in the winning break, he willingly gave up any chance of his own to help Graeme. It was the best ride of his young career, and Michael's chances will come. But carrying the burden of leadership in an event like this takes years of experience.
All righty, the last lap was the fastest at 1 minute, 2 seconds, 8 seconds faster than the previous fastest like Graeme Miller. 1 minute, 2 seconds, a full kilometer. That's 36 miles an hour for over a half mile after an hour averaging 32.
Every pro knows how difficult winning a race of this stature is. Among the few who actually make a living in this country, there is an almost universal shared respect. After the last 2 days, the Net Zero boys have taken a big step to earning theirs. In cycling, like in any other pro sport, the game is where the real excitement is. But in order to be ready for the game, preparation is essential. For Jamie, public streets are where the work is done. Danger is everywhere, and a cyclist must develop hypersensitive awareness and an almost precognition for trouble if he ever hopes to make it to the next race. His career, in fact his life, can come to a very abrupt end anytime, any day, with just one little mistake by a driver. Being based in LA doesn't sound like the best idea, but Jamie and the rest of the team live only a few miles from the base of the Santa Monica Mountains. This centuries-old range sits right on the Pacific Ocean. It's almost 3,000 feet high, 50 miles long, and its landscapes are covered with dozens of well-kept roads and canyons of varying steepness. Perfect for the some 15,000 miles of training Jamie and his teammates must do each year. But having the right place to train isn't enough to turn just any rider into a pro. Like with other sports, there are certain levels of physiological requirements to compete at the top level.
This is one of the things
that makes the sport so difficult. I'm about 3.5 hours into this ride, and as you can see, I've been climbing for about 45 minutes. My body is just about at the anaerobic threshold, which means my muscles are no longer getting oxygenated blood and pumping lactic acid everywhere in my body. So not only my legs, but my back, the outsides of my arms are starting to go numb all the way down to my fingers. And this is what happens every time you go over a climb or make a long, hard effort. The longer you can take this kind of pain, and the more often you can do it in one day, the better bike racer you'll be. If this were a race, and somebody were to attack or accelerate, I'd have to go with them, which would mean I would go over my anaerobic threshold and past my maximum heart rate, which for me is about 205 beats a minute. And you have to do that over and over in races. Of course, one of the secrets is not letting the guys know how bad you're hurting. So you have to fake it.
For those who are gifted enough physically to have a chance, they must also develop an extreme mental toughness.
Probably the hardest thing about this sport that most guys never learn is the ability to think and make decisions and reason things out intellectually about the race when you feel like I do right now. Most guys can only think about the pain.
And of course, when all is said and done, it's still a race. And in any race, speed is the key.
The other hard thing about this sport that a lot of guys have trouble with is being able to handle your bike at 55 or 60 miles an hour down a descent, going through turns.
The racers who are most skilled at handling these miracles of engineering that balance on less than 1 square inch of rubber will always have a tremendous advantage. Domestically based pros will spend 80% of their season doing criteriums and circuit races. The faster a rider can go through the corners, the more energy he can save by not having to re-accelerate out of them. Good bike handling is not only crucial to staying out of crashes and remaining in one piece, it also allows a rider to maintain his position in the pack and to be in the right place at the right time when the crucial moves are made. Every subculture in sport or otherwise has publications which are dedicated to covering their strange world. The Bible of pro bike racing in America is Velo News. Not long after Shelby and Athens, the latest issue hits the stands with the living legend of pro cycling on its cover. And while the story inside reports on Lance preparing for yet another all-out assault on the Tour de France, only a few pages further, and Net Zero's antics from their weekend in the South are well documented for all to see. And what it assures is recognition from all over the cycling world. Bike races in America come in all shapes and sizes. This isn't a velodrome, it's a half-mile track designed for stock cars. The team is all together today, and for Ryan Barrett, Mike Tillman, and Jason Bausch, the recent success has had a bittersweet edge, and it's natural to feel a degree of disappointment at not being present to participate in the recent victories. For Jason, the season has been filled with ups and downs, but JB's positive attitude and steadfast desire to help his team has kept him motivated. JB shares an apartment with his older brother, Kirk. Kirk and Jason have a shared passion for cycling, and he is Jason's biggest supporter. By working full-time and paying the majority of the bills, it's he who allows Jason to concentrate on racing.
When we got into riding and just life, let's say, we've always kind of been right there, arm in arm with each other, and anything he did, I supported, and for the most part, anything I did, he supported.
And he's been there ever since day one. He's the only guy in the family that has believed and helped me out when I do struggle and go through hard times.
One thing led to another. My career took off when he was aspiring to be an athlete. And just by the sheer love of sport and seeing him excel, I was more than happy to just support him and provide anything I can. And it's all worked out great. We got a house that we live in, and he gets to ride when he needs to, and I'm there to help him. There's many times that my parents try to pull me aside and have me reason with Jay about riding his 10-speed and get into more of a career, let's say.
They think it's a dead-end road. They don't understand it. No, we're not really close at all.
What I try to do is try to explain to my parents that we're two different people, and even if I had Jay do what I do, it just wouldn't work. It's just not a fit. He doesn't like it, he doesn't understand, he doesn't want it.
They're just too concerned about money and
do what you love, and that's what it comes down to. That's what life's all about. And as much as they don't understand it because they come from the working class type of community, then they never will. But that'll never impede what kind of support I'll give him.
JB is in the lead group of 3, and with 2 laps to go, he knows that if they make it to the finish, the pressure to win will be solely on his shoulders.
Nervous what if I am in that winning move? Hopefully I have enough experience to close that deal. That's what I get nervous about.
But only a half lap later, and some help is on the way. A chase group of 6 looks as if they might catch on, and Jamie is in this group. Everyone is tired now, and with a half mile to go, and only 2 riders out of 9 for Net Zero, there's no room for mistakes. The next moves will be crucial. One of the teams with no real sprinter tries an early attack. Jamie quickly follows the rider in white up to the front. Behind, the move has opened gaps, and Jason digs deep to grab the wheel in front of him. Around the final turn, and the rider in blue tries to lead it out for his teammate. The race will now be decided in the last 200 meters. Jamie is fastest today, and Jason comes up with 3rd. In the end, Jamie got the win, but having Jason in the original break gave him the right not to work in the last few laps. Jason's ride was a good one, and the 3rd place, along with the pressure he put on the other riders, is something he can be happy with.
Myself, I love working because I'm learning every race. I'm learning something, and I think it's going to pay off in the future.
June means one thing to the riders: the U.S. Pro Road Championships. This is the most anticipated trip of the year, and for 2 weeks, the team will do a series of races against purely world-class talent, culminating on a Sunday in Philadelphia with the championship itself. But not every member of the team is here. While both Jason and Ryan rode well in May, it was Mike Tillman that showed the most improvement, and with the team only providing money for 6 spots, it will be Mike who will join the guys from the Shelby Athens trip and get to experience the biggest race in this country. To coincide with the departure, the latest Velo News issue arrives containing an in-depth story on the history and personality of the team. It's a flattering gesture by the publication, and one that will put just a little bit of added pressure on the guys who, at the beginning of the year, would have just been happy to be going on this trip. For the next 2 weeks, this will be home. It's not the Ritz, but the $49 a night hotel is centrally located among the 6 races the riders will do leading up to Philly. In the days ahead, when they're not training or racing, eating is the only other activity of the day. The next few races will quickly let the riders know where they stand. The week will not go well. Jamie and Graeme are the only 2 from the team who are in the action. And Graeme will get the team's only results in the top 10. Hilton gets sick. MJ, Tillman, and Matt will struggle just to hang on and finish. And the team looks like it may be in over its head. With the bad week behind them, today is the team's last chance before Philly. The race is in Trenton, New Jersey, and it will be the toughest they have done so far. As race time approaches, the guys go through their final pre-race ritual and hope things turn around. There's not much that can be said about today's race. Graeme and Jamie both know the strongest guys will make it to the finish. Today's advice: hang on as long as you can.
Today's our better chance. It's shorter distance. If you haven't got the legs today, you're not going to have them on Sunday anyhow, are you?
Race I go to seems to be a bigger one than the previous one, so it makes me more nervous each time.
I'm confident, but you know, there's only so much confidence can take you. So
the team's a new team this year, and it took 6 to 8 weeks to mould together before we started winning a lot of races. And then of course we won the 2 big crits in Shelby and Athens.
Net Zero is definitely here to race with Graeme and Jamie as guys who can actually finish with the best guys in the world.
It's definitely exciting being here with the amount of riders here that are top quality riders, which we do race all year, but this field is probably the best of the best we get all year.
Hopefully the 4 of us, Mike, Hilton, Matt and I, can help keep Graeme and Jamie pretty comfortable so they can rest and be fresh towards the end.
As far as our chances today, the team, this race is really hard, and the field here is very good. For us, I think we just got to be a bit realistic. And Graeme has probably the best form of his life right now. So, gosh, if I can be there at the end to help him, he might be in with a chance for the sprint. We've got a couple of young guys on the team, and it's definitely a step up. And we'll see if they can take it. This is the hardest one. It's a new level of racing for them. I mean, there's great cyclists all over the country that can do well in their area and against a few good guys, but there's 100 great riders here. So, like we're racing against, some very good, Category 1 teams. To try and, rather than try and win races, I think we've got to realistically try and finish in the top 10, because, to finish top 10 in a 1.3 race with Category 1 teams is going to be a good result.
Here in the States, Saturn and Mercury have been battling for the top spot all year. Navigators, Prime Alliance, and 7-Up have also been strong. But today's field brings the best from Europe, including the U.S. Postal Service, who have brought a wealth of international superstars, and the current Olympic gold medalist. They also have maybe the best single-day rider in the world, an American named George Hincapie. With a solid stronghold on the last few Tours de France, Postal is arguably the strongest team on the planet. And when they do come to America, the top spot on the podium is the only one they'll be happy with. In the United States, the Postal Service team is directed by Frankie Andreu. Frankie retired from racing this year after spending 11 full seasons in Europe. He was also Lance Armstrong's first lieutenant and captained the Postal Service team during Lance's first 2 historic Tour de France victories. He himself holds the record for any American by finishing 9 Tours de France. He's twice been an Olympian. His career plays like the dream that every pro cyclist begins with, and there is no greater authority in the sport. Frankie has come full circle, finishing where he began, settling down in the same neighborhood in which he first started racing.
You know, you're riding around, you're like, man, I'd be cool to race this bike or something like that. Then you just got to go to your local bike shop and find out a local bike club and join the local bike club. And then you start learning from them and you figure out, you know, how, if you're going to want to, like, you know, race your bike. And that's what I did. You know, I joined the local Schwimmwolverine club. And in a bike club, everybody's supportive because the cycling community is pretty small, so they're all gung-ho for each other and they're all supportive of each other, and so you get a lot of help that way and you learn a lot from that way. And after you start off with your local cycling club and you start doing well, then you move up more to like a regional club that travels more through the Midwest, doesn't just do the local races. And if you start doing a little bit, you know, kind of well there, then people might start noticing you there, and you might get picked up, you know, on an East Coast team or a West Coast team that maybe doesn't travel the whole country yet, but is still doing a lot more races, or just, you know, maybe takes 1 or 2 trips to some of the bigger races. And so, you know, it's stepping stones. It's a gradual process. The most important thing is to get set up with, you know, a local bike club in the beginning.
Frankie has seen hundreds of aspiring pros come and go. As the stars get called to the line at Trenton, he is well aware of what the rookies on the Net Zero team are up against.
Yeah, for a first-year pro or second-year pro who's been just racing in America, and then they show up at Trenton, and then first of all, I'm sure they'd be kind of shocked just looking around and seeing which riders are standing around them. And then once the race starts, usually the beginning is not so bad, you know, and they'd be a little bit comfortable. But then when things started heating up during the middle, it would definitely be an eye-opener. There's thousands of clubs that all want to go to the big races and be part of the big picture. And, you know, when Net Zero showed up, they had their work cut out for them, you know, because there's a lot of young guys and then a few, I want to say, a lot of young guys and a few respected guys. And because a lot of us knew, you know, Graeme Miller, Jamie Paolinetti, all these kind of guys, you let them in and do like that, but it gave more respect to the team, you know. And without guys like that, then the team would have just been another local club.
From the first lap, breakaways are forming, and the chase from those that miss them comes almost immediately. About halfway through the 90 miles, a well-represented group opens a small gap. Saturn, Postal, Navigators, and Mercury are all here, but almost none of the European teams are represented, so the pace behind will stay at full throttle, and it starts to do damage. Mike Tillman is the first to go from Net Zero, and with still an hour and a half left in the race, his day is done.
In America, there's not that many pro teams compared to like Europe. You know, there's maybe 2 or 3 big teams, so that's a total of maybe each team has 10 guys. It's only 30 spots that are available. So you have all these guys trying to get those spots, and so you really have to stand out to be able to get there. And the other thing that's hard about this sport is that you may win a big race, but if you don't do it again, then you're only as good as your last win.
A half hour later, and there's been a reshuffling. Again, Postal, Saturn, and the Navigators are represented. But Mercury has missed this one, and they're not about to put up with that. More than 2 hours at this pace, and riders are coming off. There's more bad news for Net Zero. Matt is dropped. He'll watch for the rest of the day. Mercury's done its job, and the field is together, but not for long.
The Trenton's so fast. It's flat, so you think it's easy, but because the speed is so high, I mean, you're going like 40 miles an hour the whole time, and there's constantly guys attacking and going up the road, and
by the end, guys are just toast because of the distance.
The attacks keep coming. The field gets smaller. And riders are heading for the sidelines in bunches, including Net Zero's last 2 rookies. The last time through the feed zone, and there are only 4 miles to go. The bunch is down to no more than 50.
You're all fighting for position. Pretty much almost anything goes, trying to get to the front before the sprint. There's a lot of adrenaline there, and it gets crazy because guys are just chopping each other, slamming on the brakes, going accelerate, hopping the curves, going wherever you go.
In the last kilometer, the lead-outs and the battle at the front splits the remaining field to pieces, and those not in position will have no chance in the sprint. Jamie rode well, but just riding well won't be enough for a result in today's race. And Graeme is left to his own devices in the sprint. The fastest of those left put the cap on the 90-mile ride that took only 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's Postal first. No surprise there. But Graeme comes up big, within a bike length of the win. Trenton does not disappoint, and the group that comes to the line together is only about 30 riders.
And then after the race, after the finish line, you stop and then you think, it's like, holy cow, that was nuts, man. And then you start remembering all the close calls and everything that happened. But at the moment, it's just reaction. There's no thinking. It's just reacting and doing it. And I think guys, a lot of guys get a kick out of that. And I did too. I loved, getting up there and fighting and just the speed and going around the corners and.
I just needed someone just to keep me out of the breeze in that last half lap, and I was...
It's left and right.
Yeah, the whole time that they started chasing, from that point on, it was just full throttle.
Have a radio.
It's not going to come easy, like you might have a couple of races at the end of the year where you feel like you're worth something. You can't just jump into being racing as a pro.
When Mercury was on the front, all 10 guys driving it for like 4 laps, it was just hang on to every, hang on, single file. And the cobbles were pretty bumpy.
Sort of disappointed by today when it initially happens, because whenever you're racing your bike against guys at this level especially, you never know when the floor is going to drop out.
I think the team did what they could today, considering the Division 1 riders and Division 2 riders that were here, especially the foreign teams and that, they were very strong. I'm not too happy with my ride.
It's bike racing. So, in the large scheme of things, can't really sweat it. Go on, more racing.
That I didn't finish. That was my goal. That was my little interview before the race, was to just finish and be able to maybe help out Graeme or Jamie. And I rode right by that start-finish line with all those people there, just exploded.
Did you pretend that you had a flat at least or something?
I was gonna get off my bike and freaking let the air out. I think of ways to do it. And sitting in a hotel room for 3 days doing nothing, trying to prepare for this race and I can't even finish, and it's and help Graeme out. And You see his frustration. Yeah, and you could sit here for a million days. It's not the rest, you know, it's just the experience. It takes experience, and it just comes slow. Well, Harm rolled through like almost, you know, just right off the back. He barely squeaked through at the end. He was hanging on, and, you know, I'm sure he's maybe saving it for Philly. No saving it. Nobody's saving nothing. Those guys were doing all they could to sit in line. Believe me, there's nobody out there saving anything today. And that race is tough. Why are you here? Because next time you'll be a little better. And the next time you will be able to do it. And finally, one day you'll end up in the breakaway, just like you did at Athens. That was a huge step. That was one of the biggest national calendar races, and you made it into the breakaway. That's a level. And then, you know, you'll come to races like this, and Sunday at US Pro, and then you'll take your beatings, and then the next time you'll come and you'll do a little better. And then the next time you come and maybe you make the breakaway. What people should do is show respect. You better get the phone. I mean, the guys were just going so fast. When Mercury has like 10 guys in the front driving it for like an hour, and the speed never dropped below like 35 miles an hour, single file. Yeah, I got popped with 2 laps to go. I couldn't go that fast anymore. You know, the wife asks how you did, or my friends ask how I did, and, you know, I give them the big 0, and that gives me a little pressure, and I don't think she understands how hard this is.
Michael's path to being a pro has been anything but normal. A late starter to the sport, MJ already had a career, a home, and a wife long before he first climbed aboard a bike. Sombra works in sales.
Sombra, my wife's really supportive. She pretty much runs the house. You know, I come home from working all day, which is really tough, and then I come and jump in my trainer, and then I get off the trainer, shower, and dinner's on the table waiting for me, and we spend like an hour together, hour and a half, and then when I'm in bed, and I do it again to the next night.
I like to do for him. I do. I really like to do for him. And it's partly my fault, because I have to be in control, therefore that's why I like to do what I do. And he's a lot more laid back than I am.
A lot of her friends ask her, like, how do you do that? And she's just like, well, that's what he wants to do.
But dedication to his new sport has meant sacrifices for him and his marriage. And as the season has worn on, so has Sombra's patience for the lifestyle.
Because a lot of stuff we would do together, like the grocery shopping and stuff, when we used to go to the gym together, we do a lot more stuff together. So yeah, because his time is very limited, especially if he's working for the studios. I tell him though that there's nothing better than to do what you want every day. Something that you have a passion for, that you love to do, and you actually get paid for it. Because people like their jobs. I like my job. I don't love my job. I don't have a passion for it.
Yeah, I was mountain biking, and then, you know, it wasn't like I was not a professional, like where I had to, like, you know,
and
do
working
20
like a dog,
hours a week.
feature after feature.
Yeah, I was working a lot, and I wanted to get a house and wanted to impress the ladies, or my lady, and, you know, buy her everything, and you know, get her, and I got her, and
then now what? Nothing.
And we got what we got, and now I'm like, I realized that I have some ability to do this thing, and she's, like I said, she's been supporting me, but, you know, it's really tough.
Probably that I've got more of an independence, and I'm used to doing things my way. Therefore, when he's home, it's hard for me to adjust to do things the way that we're used to doing things.
There's no one that can relate to what I do except for the guys I do it with. So she has nothing to relate it to, and all of her friends are always like, I can't believe you can put up with that and this, and it makes it really tough for both of us.
It's affected our social lives together, and we don't do a lot of things together. And when we have the opportunity to do things together with girlfriends of mine, with their husbands or fiancés, he still can't go, even if he is home, because he's got a race the next day really early. He doesn't want to walk around, he wants to stay off his feet. So it's completely affected our social lives together.
I won't cry, I just won't dance.
I think it's just a matter of having a normal life, and what I mean by normal is the lifestyle that my girlfriends lead with their husbands, whether it be getting up early in the morning on Saturday, going to breakfast, whether it be just doing nothing, but the person's around to do nothing with. And usually, and I think I'm sick of being the third wheel with my best friend and her husband. And I mean, it's funny. I mean, people that have known me for years didn't even know, even though I wear a wedding ring, didn't even know I was married because they never have seen my husband. So.
What people?
Tiger and Derek. I've known Derek longer than I've known you. He didn't even know, his wife did not even know we were married. She was trying to set me up at Krista's wedding.
She was trying to set you up at Krista's wedding?
Well, trying to think who she could set me up with because she had no idea I was married because you weren't there.
Well, maybe she talked to her husband.
Maybe you just need to be around, then she wouldn't have to question herself.
Okay.
The day after Trenton and the team is out training. It's a recovery day and a chance to put yesterday's race behind them. The focus will now move to Philadelphia. Rural Pennsylvania is beautiful in the summer, and one of the fringe benefits of the job is getting the chance to see the amazingly diverse landscapes America has to offer from one of the best seats in the house. The guys take in the sights, sounds, smells, and even a bit of the culture from every place they travel to. Bike racing is hard, but the advantages of the lifestyle are many. Sunday is a big day, and the rookies have now had a taste for what they'll be up against. They would like nothing more than to redeem themselves in the eyes of their two leaders. Philadelphia has played host to the Road Racing Championships for more than 15 years. The support from the city is unparalleled in the sport, and the race is ranked as one of the best one-day classics anywhere in the world. It's become more than a tradition in the city. It's an obsession. If you live in Philly, you know about the U.S. Pro Championships. Friday night, Graeme and Jamie have decided to hold the pre-race meeting now. Each of the guys is given a specific task. Their primary job is to get Graeme and Jamie to the start of a steep climb known as the Manayunk Wall as many times as possible. The Pro Championships is 160 miles long, and the riders have to go up the wall 10 times. Tomorrow, the rookies will have a chance to ride the course and think about their assignments before the race on Sunday.
Just come up and give what you got at the start of the day, you know, that's all anyone's asking is just, what. So, it's not over until it's over, And yeah, as Jamie said, don't give up.
Saturday. The atmosphere of the race is already taking shape, and the riders give the course a good looking over. This is the Manayunk Wall. It's the signature of the race, and the section of the course that is most responsible for shaping the final outcome. The climb is just under a mile, but with a very difficult approach. A 17% grade in the middle. 10 trips up this wall will prove to be too many for most of the riders.
Yeah, the wall, I think the basic strategy for the wall is to get there first you've got to have your position right.
Thursday's outcome wasn't as I planned. It was pretty tough. So hopefully tomorrow won't be as fast from the get-go.
So Mike's job here for a lot of the race is going to be to get Graeme and I to that turn back there first. So by the time he hits this part here, he's going to have to be recovering, trying to get himself up this thing so he can do it again the next lap.
I'm pretty nervous. I barely slept last night, man. I've been a wreck.
It's going to be a long day.
All the guys that this is one of the crucial points in the race, and looking up this street here, it's packed today, but tomorrow there won't be any cars there, and it's actually quite downhill. And every lap there's a race down this hill to get to this turn first, because the first person or the first 10 guys to this turn will get a clean shot to the base of the wall, but everybody else is going to get stuck and have to use their brakes and have to reaccelerate, and the guys that hit the wall first will be going up at full speed, and anywhere in the middle of the pack to the back of the pack, they're really going to have to play catch up.
It's hard for me because, I'm little Johnny on the spot that's got the form, and I have to ask everybody to bend and scrape and, do everything for me, but...
Hey, that's bike racing.
Yeah, but I think...
I got confidence in you.
Yeah, but... No, but you know, like it's this is one race where you've got to go in and you've got to give one person the chance. You know, you've got to, you know, like give that person everything they got. You know, like I'm not saying I'm gonna, I'm gonna be as pissed off as the next guy if I don't get a good result. So you know, like I'm gonna be coming down hard on myself as well. You know, but I feel like I've got the form. You know, like I've been third here twice and I've got much better form now than I had then. So I'm quietly confident, but I do need a hand and I do need a lot of luck.
All right, I'm good with that.
This is the place for final preparations. Each of the teams is allowed to start with 10 riders, but for Net Zero, there's only 6. As if hoping to suck some power through some strange form of osmosis, they have selected the tent next to the Postal Service. George Hincapie is their man today. Saturn has Trent Klasner. He's the #1 ranked rider in America, and anxious to show the big boys from Europe why. Mercury has battled with Saturn for domestic dominance this year, but they also maintain one of the best squads in Europe. Some of the best of the remaining teams from Europe include Mapei, CSC, Seiko, Domo, and its star, a rider originally from the United States, Freddy Rodriguez. He wears #1, first American to cross the line here last year. Frankie and George give one last check to the radios.
I heard it.
And it's time to go. "10 big laps, then 3 small finishing circuits. A total of 160 miles through the streets of Philadelphia that will take about 6 hours. The race starts out blazing fast, and within the first 10 minutes, a large group is established. With most of the major teams represented, this move will roll out to a lead of over 5 minutes. Net Zero can't waste anyone to cover this. The first time up the wall, and the break can afford to take it easy. Behind, the field also knows there's a long day ahead. The break is holding a steady 5-minute lead, but with none of the stars here, it has little chance of making it to the finish. And the race behind will stay extremely active. As the break makes its second trip up the wall, behind, Net Zero has a situation.
Need a bigger one.
Yep.
Got him.
There we go.
Only an hour in, and with still 140 miles to go, Jamie has a problem. While strung out in line, a group of riders has run into a large pothole, and his handlebars have slipped. With so long left in the race, he decides they need to be fixed and tightened. Hilton waits, ready to help Jamie back to the pack when the problem is fixed. But the wall is quickly approaching, and the day could be over far sooner than expected.
Fuck.
He's bottled.
No.
No.
Let's go. Okay. Jamie and Hilton are back in the peloton. They have rejoined the group.
The field's second trip up the wall is much faster than the first. But around the right turn at the top, all the Net Zero riders make it over, including Jamie and Hilton. Up ahead, the breakaway has become lethargic, and 3 of the riders have attacked. Lap 3 proves to be mostly uneventful. But Tillman has paid the price for his efforts the last time into the wall, and struggles at the back. The 4th time up, and the field is long gone. Tillman goes over alone. This will be his last time. His job is done. He won't see the pack again today, and the rest of the work will be left up to Matt, Hilton, and Michael. The middle of the race will see every team battle to keep their stars protected and make sure no breakaways go without them. Lap 5 up the wall. Graeme and Jamie both have good position thanks to their 3 remaining rookies, and all of them will go over in the pack.
Go, Michael! Go, Michael!
The temperature is nearly 90 degrees, but the 3 leaders roll on. Each lap becomes more crucial than the last. The race could happen at any time, and as the pack approaches the wall for its 6th trip up, every team fights for the front. Lap 6 is strung out, but again, the boys have put Jamie and Graeme near the front, and they'll all see lap 7. Lap 7, the effort is evident. 2 of 3 struggle, and it will be over soon. Almost unbelievably, the boys have once again delivered Jamie and Graeme right to the front at the base of the climb, and they'll both go over with the leaders. But lap 7 has a cost. Over the top, MJ is at the back, and Matt is nowhere to be seen. The diminished field is in full flight. Lap 8 is serious business. Attacks on the wall from the stars are a guarantee. Mercury drives the pace. Graeme and Jamie will fight for position, but neither Michael or Hilton are anywhere near the front. Saturn surges up the left and puts Trent Klasner in prime position. The 3 leaders hit the base of the wall. But the pack is right behind and going flat out. The day's first big move is made. Mercury's Leo Van Bond and Saturn's Trent Klasner are flying up the wall. Back at the bottom, the support caravan brings up the rear, and Michael has yet to go through. Hilton comes by alone. He's done more than expected today. But this, his last time up, will still be a lonely ride. Up on the wall, 2 of the best have opened a large gap, but with no Postal, Navigators, or any European team, unless they get some help soon. There's too much horsepower behind them to make it to the finish. And on the descent, they're joined by the front of the bunch. The move has been nullified, but this effort will diminish the chasing group again. In big-time pro bike races like this, as the race goes on, the speed goes up, not down, and the race gets harder and harder until only the strongest are left. Once again, Trent is on the attack. He glances back to have a look, and in the blink of an eye, he's in trouble. A hole in the road, and Trent's tire blows. If he has to wait for the support car, he may not see the pack again. Quickly, a teammate stops and gives up his wheel, and after 5 hours of suffering, what may be his own chances. But Trent is Saturn's star, and there's not even a hesitation. On the way out to Manayunk, attacks come one after another. Those who fear the wall are looking for a head start. But it's not to be. And on the long, straight run into climb number 9 of the day, the 60 riders that are left in this race know this is a crucial battle. Once again, Mercury is on the front. Graeme holds his own, and Jamie is in good shape a little further back on the left. But there's still over a mile to go to the wall. Inside of a kilometer, 3 Postal riders surge up the right, and that entire side of the field folds in front of the left. Just like that, Jamie is at the back, and with no help. Postal shows why it's the best team in the world and leads into the wall. Graeme goes by in good position, but the effort to be here has hurt him. For Jamie, the worst has happened. He's near the back of this small group, and as he slows with the tail end, up ahead already on the wall, the leaders are making the race. It's Postal's Olympic gold medalist Ekimov doing the damage. And this is just the beginning. Moments later, Eki's leader George Hincapie turns the screws even tighter, and behind, the pack is blowing apart. Over the top of the wall, the Postal attack has caused total carnage. And on the descent, a lead group of 30 riders has opened a large gap. These 30 go through the last turn of the downhill. Half a minute later, the chasers follow, desperate to close the gap. Jamie and Graeme are both in this group. Along the start-finish, and there are 14 miles in this last loop, the 2 groups pass each other, and the gap remains. Up ahead, there's no slowing down, and Saturn is on the attack. As long as the pace stays high in front, Jamie and Graeme's group will not make up any time. On the final ride through Manayunk, Mercury's Hank Vogels makes a bold move. Hank is a superstar in his own right. He won this race last year, and Postal isn't about to let him go. Vogels leads up the bottom of the climb, but the rest of the superstars are poised to strike. The first move comes from CSC. Jakob Pill gets a lead out from a teammate and blows by Vogels and Ecke. But this is the time, and showing the heart and confidence of a true champion, Domo's American, Freddy Rodriguez, drills it up the 17% grade. He's been waiting for this moment all day, trusting his team to do the work, and now he's ready to deliver. A young Spaniard from Mape named Horillo takes over at the front. And over the top, this pace will ensure a very select group. On the fall from the wall, only the best of the best are here. Horillo, CSC's Jakob Pill, George Hincapie, Freddy Rodriguez, an Italian from Mercury, Fabrizio Guidi, and finally, who else but Trent Klasna. Near the bottom, and the 6 superstars have a tenuous gap. Behind, the chasers are in bits and pieces. 3 Americans and 3 Europeans. But of the 3 Americans, Trent is the only one that is domestically based. George and Freddy have long ago made the hard choice and moved to Europe to compete at the top level. This race is their right, but Trent has other ideas, and he hopes to prove the level in America is not far behind. The 3 Euro pros have all won world-class events. Cycling is their dynasty. Behind, the chasing group is close, but only the navigators don't have a rider in the break. The chase will be up to them. Graeme and Jamie's group. They're not giving up hope, but also not making up time. The leaders pass the start-finish line with 3 small laps to go. There's no room for hesitation here, as behind, the navigators put it all on the line. This is Lemon Hill. It's a small climb, but just big enough to maybe get rid of a weaker rider, for anyone who's brave enough to try. Navigators, no quit here. 2 to go. Before they can think about winning, they have to be sure they'll make it to the finish, and the temporary partnership remains. Over again, no attacks. Navigators. 1 lap to go, and every rider here carries the hopes of their team and the pressure that comes with it. No one has an advantage. There are dozens of possible scenarios, and no room for mistakes. Navigators gaining ground. Going into Lemon Hill for the last time, and an attack is bound to come. Jakob Pill is the first to go, but all 5 respond. Every acceleration could be their last. They all have to gamble. Who will attack? Who can close the gaps? Navigators. Trent gives it a go. George and Freddy are the only 2 that can respond. And suddenly, it's 3 Americans with less than a mile to go. But Pill isn't done. He not only closes the gap, but attacks the minute he gets there. No chance, and George is on him. Trent counters, and Freddy brings up the back. Pill goes again. Again, George has him. Lungs and legs are screaming now, and there's a brief let-up. Freddy sees it, and almost casually risks it all. A brief hesitation, and Freddy's alone. The finish is only a few hundred meters out of this circle, and anyone who closes the gap behind will surely lose the sprint. It's too late for the others, and Freddy has the day, and the right to be called U.S. Pro Champion. Trent ends up second. George is third. It's Americans 1, 2, 3. And behind, the navigators were, oh, so close.
Yeah, we better wait. They haven't announced random yet, have they?
Lovely center. Yeah. It went pretty much as we expected. Everybody on the team actually did exactly what we asked of them, so couldn't do anything else. Just second to last time up the hill. Oh yeah. The guys went so fast, it was just unbelievable, and it went from the bottom, and I mean it just continued to go faster and faster. But you know, we did exactly what we wanted with the guys we had. Just Graeme and I missed a split. That was it. Some really good guys up there, so really couldn't ask for anything more.
Sit.
It was good. I mean, my job was, kind of to serve down.
The entire cycling world will focus on one thing, the Tour de France. For Frankie Andreu, this will be the first time in 9 years that he won't be spending the month racing over the Alps and Pyrenees. But for the Net Zero boys and every other pro team in America, the Tour de France is half a world away, and they will spend the month doing national calendar criteriums, like this one in Manhattan Beach, California. Frankie will watch the world's greatest spectacle on TV this year, having to settle for casual rides around his hometown. But in retrospect, he knows how special riding the world's greatest race was.
It takes a lot. I mean, you have to stand out a lot. You really got to get a lot of big results and really shine apart from the other riders just to be able to get on the pro team. But even if you make it on one of those teams and you make it over there, that's not to say if you're just racing in Europe, you're going to ride the Tour, because in the Tour is a whole different ballgame. They only take the 9 best riders from their team, to be able to go do the Tour, and so that's like a whole nother level. And I think realistically, for guys who are racing here in America, unless they really are dominating here big time, they're probably not going to make it over there to do the Tour. The Tour is a long ways away. When you're racing here in America, the Tour is a long ways away to think about doing. Everybody watches the Tour on TV and they all dream about it, but getting there is a whole other ballgame.
Professional teams must qualify to ride the Tour by accumulating points. Teams get points when their riders win or place highly in specified races. However, 95% of these races take place in Europe. The reality is, no American-based team will ever ride the Tour de France. If an American wants to ride the Tour, life in Europe is his only choice.
I remember for a few years I was the only American, to finish the Tour for a few times. But now we got a lot of Americans. Now we're probably up until around 10 who might do the Tour, but it's the same guys who didn't do it beforehand, so it hasn't really changed that much.
But pro bike racing is about more than just the Tour de France, and today's criterium is an important one. The national calendar event will be televised nationwide and takes place right in the boys' backyard. A little over 200 meters out of this sharp U-turn is today's finish. If the field is together at the end, it will be a race to get there first, combined with a battle to keep from crashing. These elements come together to create the most dangerous finish the riders will face all year. Good finishing speed is a gift. Bike handling skills and an utter absence of fear are a must. Dave McCook is an expert, but Mercury's Gord Fraser and Prime Alliance's Jonas Carney are the kings. A national calendar race in the team's hometown gives family and friends a rare chance to see those who they support all year racing at the top level. With this added encouragement comes a bit of extra pressure, and today's goal for Net Zero will be to establish a breakaway and avoid a field sprint where riders like Gord and Jonas will have the advantage.
Saturn navigators are going to have to be happy with the brake, and no brake will work unless all of the teams, including ourselves, are happy with what's going on. And so that means we have to try to put guys in the brake that we think can beat their riders, and they're going to do the same until everybody's happy, and then maybe a breakaway will work.
Four laps to go. Michael, Matt, and Tillman are in a big group. With neither of their leaders here, it's not great for them. But it's worse for Mercury. And behind, the chase is on. The move is caught with 2 laps to go. Jamie counters in the final turn. But 7-Up's Dave McCook and Mercury's John Peters go with him. Both have won here before. Both are fast finishers, and neither will do any work. But Saturn's Harm Janssen will, and he's in this to the end. Jamie won't drag the 2 sprinters to the line. And with 1 to go, Harm tries a suicide solo move. But the field will swallow him up and spit him out. The day's efforts have been for naught, and now it's the dreaded race to the final turn. It's net zero on the front, Hilton leading Graeme, but Gord and Jonas are here too, and Jamie is stuck behind them. Even a touch of the brakes will mean defeat, or worse. But they're through clean, and now it's a matter of speed. It's Jonas Carney just ahead of Graeme and Gord. Jamie is right behind, but off the pace.
It's just Graeme was stuck coming through the turn first. Yes,
I should have really gone by him before the corner so I could carry a bit more speed around the corner. Say la vie.
Great job, Graeme.
Not good enough. My back wheel was skidding when I hit that corner because I just hit the handbrake and guys were like barreling into me in 40th place. I didn't get to cover that. You were lucky, man, because like one of your hands was only just, like one was completely off the bars and the other one was just caught on by the thumb, and I thought if that had flicked off, man, you would have been going.
You don't get to go up there. That's where Postal rides.
Ryan is here too. Although not selected, he's paid his own way, hoping to prove he belongs at this level. It will be the biggest race he's ever done. Just a few miles from Chicago's O'Hare Airport is a quaint little town called Downers Grove. The guys are here to do the US Pro Criterium Championships. The race is a kind of little sister to the road racing championships in Philadelphia. But little sister or not, it's still a national championship and a chance to make up for the disappointment of Philly. The winner will wear the Stars and Stripes jersey for an entire year. As the season winds down, so does the team's budget, and the riders cram as many as possible into each room. Tomorrow, it's a 90-minute Pro-Am criterium before the championships on Sunday. The weekend will be tough, and Matt is questionable. He crashed only 2 days ago in a midweek race. Saturday. Today's race will let the riders know what kind of legs they'll have for tomorrow. There's also good prize money. But Sunday is the big day, and for now, it must be put out of their minds. With Sunday's championship on everyone's mind, today is a nervous affair. The race is a field sprint, and Graeme's in great position heading into the last turn. But he would never come out of it.
Yeah. Well, it was just this split-second reaction. I thought, if I go now, I could fuck you up, so I just was on you, so I just didn't go. Because if I went around slow and I had other guys underneath me, I would have fucked you. You know, if I'd have gone past, like you said, when I've gone past before and there's guys on my wheel and then you're just totally boxed in.
Yeah, but at that split second, I was basically at the front, so there was no one going to come past, and if you had come past, I would have just even stayed on your right hip.
Oh, I just didn't do it.
He said he was worried about you kicking his ass afterwards.
Yeah, because it was just what I did last time. I didn't want to fucking drag guys past you and
but last time, whenever you've done it before, we've been in the middle of the bunch. We haven't been at the front of the bunch.
I know. Oh.
I remember just going straight down on my shoulder and my hip, and then so I pushed my bike away and then just scrunched up into a ball, hoping it wouldn't hurt, but I couldn't get my shoulder or my neck out of the way and just punched the curb full on with in between my shoulder and my neck. So.
Graeme should really be sitting in a hospital bed, but today's a national championship, and he'll be on the start line. Besides, there's more for the boys to think about than just Graeme's injury. With only 1 month to go in the season, the big teams like Saturn have signed contracts with most of their riders for the following year. But for Net Zero, the team hasn't been given the go-ahead for next season, and as of now, none of them will have jobs after September. Jim Copeland is the director of the Saturn team. He's a former Olympian, an ex-pro, and an old teammate of Jamie's.
The Saturn program has kind of set the tone in the U.S. for what, a professional team should be, although there's not that much opportunity. You know, going back to the domestic-based riders, there's us, there's a couple other teams. There's Mercury, there's smaller teams such as 7 Up Colorado Cyclists, Navigators, Net Zero. You know, they're all teams that have a hard time getting by.
In pro cycling, teams come and go. No matter how well a team does, riders know living with an uncertain future is part of the sport.
Saturn, I mean, I've got 12 guys on my team, and there's 6 out of those 12, half are Americans. Like right now, we're going into contracts for next year, and I basically have 1 slot open. Yet there's dozens and dozens of knocks on my door, you know, inquiries into, positions on the team. There's nowhere for him to go. There's nowhere for him to go. And basically the struggling Category 2 racer that's ready physically as an athlete to make that jump to the next level, to be a professional, he's just got to bide his time and keep on punching away out there and going to the big races and mixing it up with the professionals. And eventually, if he can hang out long enough at that level, supporting himself, then they're going to get recognized, and one of the big teams may pick them up. But it's not guaranteed.
With Graeme less than 100%, Hilton will be the sprinter today.
I want the pressure. I'm leaving soon, and I want to finish on a good note, and my form's really good, and it only lasts for so long, so I've got to make the most of it. So today's going to be a do or die.
Every American wants the Stars and Stripes jersey. Mercury's Derek Bouchard Hall and Saturn's Frank McCormick are both past champions. Postal has riders here as well. But this is a different kind of race than its big sister in Philadelphia.
Criterium's like a sprint, an endurance sprint, because it's not so short, but it's very, very, very fast. And nowhere in the world, I don't think, are there criteriums faster than what we do here in the States. The speed around the corners, and that's one thing that a lot of Americans, when they go to Europe, they'll whiz through the corners because they can't believe how slow like the Euro guys go through the corners. When the European guys come over here, they're just flabbergasted. They can't believe how fast, the criteriums go.
The championship is 100 kilometers on an up and down course, and it's all out from the gun. An hour and a half of attacks leads to a decisive selection. A postal rider and a navigator are the last to bridge the gap. A few laps of effort, and the two are about to catch on. This is the winning break, and now it's a matter of tactics. Saturn has the advantage with 6 riders here. Navigators has 3, Mercury 2, 7 Up 2, Prime Alliance 1, Postal 1, and Jamie is here, but on his own. He'll have his hands full. The big teams will attack to the end. And if there's a split, Jamie will have to be with it. Up the road, and Jamie is here again, with Saturn and Mercury. This looks good, but it's Navigators that puts an end to it. Finally, Saturn's Harm Janssen slips away, and now it's up to the other big teams, but no one is chasing. Harm is Dutch. He can win the race, but not the Stars and Stripes jersey that goes to the first American. And with 1 lap to go, everyone's mind is on that prize. Harm is gone and won't be caught. Half a lap to go. The Navigators start the lead out. Jamie's in good position just behind Mercury. And 1 turn later, they're challenging for the lead. Harm has his victory. Behind, the battle for the jersey is raging. Into the last turn, Jamie is near the front. But it's the Navigators that get the coveted prize. Mercury and Saturn are next. And Jamie just didn't have the help, or quite enough left.
So that was a little disappointing for me, because I felt like I definitely had the fitness to win the jersey at least, and maybe even the race.
I'm not going to get disappointed. I rode as best as I could. Man! Tried to help out with Jamie getting in that move. I
move up a little, the same 5 guys go by me again.
After 20 minutes it kind of loosened up a little bit, but I still had no snap.
Hopefully no one's down on me. I'm not going to get down on myself.
Just had to grovel through it, Like my legs felt good, but I was just suffering like a bitch the whole time.
I don't want to think about it right now.
That's bike racing. If you get on, you fall off.
Just a shame because I could see the jersey right there in front of me. Just a little better line, or if I had one guy in the break with me to lead me out through that turn, I think I could have won the sprint, but I don't know. That's how it goes.
The final race of the year, and it should be a good one. A large prize list, a technical course, and national television coverage has attracted all the big teams. Saturn, Mercury, Navigators, Prime Alliance, and 7-Up are all present. And as the season comes to an end, each of these teams will be continuing on for another year. However, September has brought bad news for the Net Zero boys, and their worst fears have been confirmed. The team will not be continuing next season, and at the end of today, they'll all be out of a job. Pro cycling is reliant on marketing dollars from big companies. These dollars are constantly shifting and are affected by so many variables that no team can last forever. For a first-year program, the guys have had a great season, but today will be their last race together. And all that's left to decide now is how they're going to go out. Today's field is well over 125 riders, but as usual, it's the pro teams that set the pace. Net Zero has earned their spot in the pro peloton, and the guys are in every move. For the rookies, this has been a year they won't soon forget.
It's just really exciting, and I love that adrenaline. It just, raises the hair on my back.
No matter how much pain you're in, you just gotta make the move. And I really enjoy that because it makes you push yourself harder than you think you can.
You're not getting paid very well, but you're doing it for the love, basically. Just being on the bike and having that freedom.
For the veterans, the year has been a refreshing reminder of all the sport has to offer.
It is a great sport because you only ever get out of it what you put into it. You're going to be groveling. It's not going to be speed, it's not going to be strength that gets you through. It's going to be like how hard you can grovel. And I'm the best at groveling, so that's what I enjoy about it. I love it when it hurts, because if I'm hurting, everyone else is.
The constant attacks over the first half hour has the field splitting in pieces, and this, a perfect time for a big move. Mercury's Hank Vogels takes advantage, and Jamie goes with him. The timing and speed of this move has given them a huge gap, but there's still almost an hour to go, and that's a long time for two riders to hold off an entire field. All the other big teams will have to chase, and the rest of the Net Zero boys can enjoy the ride.
We had 50 or 60 wins and probably 150 top 3 finishes, which is unbelievable.
To come across a line, pouring rain, had crap all over me, mud and dirt all over my face, and my father was there just after the finish line and to grab hold of him, and he grabbed hold of me and hugged me, and he was really excited, and it was a big moment of my career. And
well, the best times are probably when you're going well and your team's going well, and everyone's, you've got 5 or 6 guys who are up there, and when everyone's going well, the morale in the team is really good, and you just have a really good time.
A half hour later, the gap remains. The chase behind is on, but not making up ground. This is a kind of last act of defiance by Jamie, and he gives it everything he has, as if to say, this season isn't over yet.
It's such a unique feeling to have a group of guys that you trust so much and that you know is just going to give 100% with absolutely no thought for their own well-being. Everything is for the team.
The best thing about it is you only remember the good times. You don't remember the amount of times that you get your ass handed to you on the plate. Otherwise, none of us would be racing. So,
with only 5 laps to go, Jamie has to start thinking about how he can win this race. He's with one of the best in the country, And after nearly an hour at full speed, they're both hurting. A victory here would give the team something to take with them into the off-season. But a second to Mr. Vogel's wouldn't be such a bad way to end the year either. And in pro bike racing, you have to risk losing to win. But behind, a conspiracy is underway, and the 4 other big teams have combined together to raise the pace to the highest level. After nearly an hour, Jamie and Hank are caught. The chase was so fast that over 75 riders were simply dropped. And now it will be left up to the field sprinters. Graeme has been getting a free ride all day, but MJ is the only one around. And after one last pull, Graeme will have to battle behind the other team's leadouts.
To be able to think on your feet in a race as well, you know, like things are happening so quick, you know, it's coming down to crunch time and you've only got a certain amount of energy and you've got to use it at the right times, and you've got to sum all this up in half a second, and that takes a lot of races, and unfortunately it takes a lot of mistakes before you actually start getting the grasp of it.
Inside the last lap, it's a wall of mercury on the front, and Graeme battles behind it. Into the final turn, Jonas Carney and Gord Fraser are side by side. Graeme is here, but fighting for position. It's Jonas just ahead of Gord, and Graeme is right behind.
Seven up at first, and then Navigators.
Hank and I were out there for what seemed like forever, and I mean, one of two things could have happened. There was one, a chance that we could have actually made it as fast as we were going, but I mean, we were going over 30 the whole time as fast as we could go, and it was just, you know, there's too much horsepower behind us, and that's pro bike racing.
You guys just like I could tell, it's just at one point you just couldn't do any more laps out there at that pace, because it's like
somebody put the hammer down.
Oh, it was Navigators and 7 Up.
Yeah.
They just went to the front, like 4 guys just blew themselves up, like 4 in a row. Just, it's a good ride down there. It's an excellent move. That was the winning move if there wasn't any chasing.
Oh, like it was, you know, it was a awesome experience, you know, to be on the team and to lift it up to the next level. Well, I've enjoyed, you know, spending time with the different guys on the team, you know. You know, and it's not very often you get a situation like that where, you know, like everybody on the team's like pretty easygoing, relaxed, and you can have a good time.
I'm hoping that someone will pick me up and pick us all up together. I'd like to race with Jamie and Graeme again. I don't know of a lot of other guys, you know, that I've met this year that are as good as a bunch of guys off the bike is on. These guys teach you so much on the bike that and even after the races, you know, they talk it out, and it's not just, you know, you go your own way, you stay together and work it out.
The lowest point when we got the news what was going to happen into the year, it was hard to stay motivated, and because we know a lot of guys are going separate ways, but we're still together, and we finished each race as a team.
I don't think I could quit at this point, because I just feel like I'm really close to where I want to be, but I'm not quite there yet. And I think if I were to quit now, I'd really, for the rest of my life, probably look back and say, oh, well, you know, I could have been good, maybe.
Any thoughts in the back of your head right now about just giving it up, doing something else?
No.
Ready to go another year?
Yeah, it's, you know, like
I felt like quitting a few weeks ago. My wife has kind of been hit or miss, but I can see her point of view, you know.
No, I don't feel like quitting, but I do get bummed because, like I said, I wish we could all stay together.
It's been a great year, and you know, I think there's maybe another year in the old horse before they send it off to the old glue factory.
After the race, Hilton and Matt are rushing to make a flight back home. They both had great rookie years, but their battles in this sport are just beginning.
A little bit nervous with some of the teams at the moment are a bit up in the air whether they're going to be happening next year, so there's a lot of riders out there that are a bit nervous about their contracts, and I'm definitely one of them. So like I've really got to go home and perform, so I'm a little bit nervous about that, but we'll see what happens for next year.
Yeah, it's difficult, but next year you come back wiser, smarter, and hopefully stronger.
People are judged and their careers are made or not made on things that are subjective to others' opinions, and this sport's not like that at all. There is such tremendous truth in this sport that I think that's one of the reasons I love the sport, and one of the reasons so many people stick with it is that you're rewarded for what you do. It's not subject to anybody's opinions, and if you're good enough, you're going to be there. And if you put the hours in, you're going to be there. And gosh, I think that's what most people are looking for. A level playing field where they can be, rewarded for their efforts. And it's one of the great simplicities of sports in general, but this sport especially.